Well, good evening everyone, and welcome to a new edition of our VELUX EHF Champions League Google Hangouts. It's halftime in the VELUX EHF Champions League, so well, could there be any better opportunity to have another hangout with our three esteemed experts that are welcome tonight? Well, hardly any need to introduce them, but I'll do it anyway. Joining us from Ireland tonight is EHF TV commentator Tom O'Brien. Hi, Tom.
Good to see you, Thomas, Peter, and Bjorn.
Right in the middle, joining us from Frederikshavn in Denmark is our EHFCL correspondent, Peter Bruin. Hi, Peter.
Hi, everyone. Hope you're all well.
And third in line, EHFCL correspondent from Germany, Bjorn Patzen.
Hello to everybody.
Before we start, obviously, as always, send us your comments, your questions to our Twitter account @EHFCL, or if you're following this discussion, on Google, use the Q&A tool, and we will throw your questions in whenever they come. Well, halftime, a chance to look back, a chance to look forward. 5 rounds have been played. Tom, you're just coming back from your last match of the week in Flensburg. How would you summarize the 5 rounds that have been played so far from your point of view?
I think that if I was to just choose 3 teams, I would say that Kolding has really surprised me this season. They've done really, really well. And Celje, although in the group they don't look in a great position, they've really impressed me as well. And then lastly, Brest, particularly at home, have looked amazing, only losing by a solitary goal to the 2 powerhouses of Kiel and PSG. Otherwise, apart from Metalurg, everybody else looks like they're about where we expected them to be.
Peter, what is your quick summary of the 5 rounds that have been played so far?
It's pretty much the same as Tom's. I'm of course also quite impressed by what KF Kolding København have achieved. Apart from that, I don't really see any big surprises. Of course, as Tom said, it's impressive that Brest have managed to narrow down defeats against Kiel and Paris to 1 goal. But still, when looking at the rankings in the various groups and also in the individual results we have seen so far, I don't think we have seen any really big surprises. At least not any positive surprises. Maybe we can turn to the negative surprises later, because I think there might have been a few of those. But speaking of absolutely positive surprises, saying this we had never seen that coming. I don't think we have seen much of that in the first half of the group phase.
Björn, no surprises at all. Would you agree, or what's your?
Of course, I absolutely agree with everything was said about Kolding. But when we talk about the negative surprises, even as Peter is not mentioning them now, but later, I had expected that Dunkirk could become a little bit better. They said, okay, we learned our lesson in the last season, but they're really not that strong as I had expected. And from the positive surprises, when you go to smaller countries, the 3 points of Kadetten Schaffhausen is quite okay for the team that they have. And of course, they are back on the floor now after the two defeats. So at the end of the day, when you look at the French teams, especially, I had expected a little bit more. As I expected not Montpellier not to draw with Tchaikovsky, and that Paris should be a little bit more stable compared to last season, but this is our subject in every hangout, so I will not point it out. So, and I absolutely agree with Tom that if they stay together, hopefully for some more years, that we can expect a real nice, good, strong team from Celje.
Let's pick out and talk a bit more about some of the teams you mentioned. Probably starting with Kolding, who are very nicely top of Group B together with Barcelona. Peter, what would you put this success or the impressive performances they've produced so far? What would you put that down to?
Well, actually, it's a bit of a paradox at first sight that Kolding are doing so well this season, even better than last season, because if you look at their team compared to last season, they have said goodbye to their defense pivot Joachim Bolsen. They have said goodbye to right wing Albert Rojas, and they have not signed any replacements to any of those key players. They've signed 2 new left wingers and a substitute goalkeeper. That's have been all their signings ahead of this season. So at first sight, it might be a surprise that they're actually doing so well this season. However, the secret or the explanation is the fact that so far they have managed to stay free of injury this season. Last season, they were missing between 3 and 8 players throughout the season due to injury, and they've been free of that so far this season. And that actually means that they have a broader, a wider, a bigger, more versatile squad than they had last season, and that has been what they've been benefiting from. The most remarkable thing, of course, is the comeback of Kim Andersen, and the fact that he has been slowly improving his shot almost from game to game. Apart from that, he has also been a great asset in the defense, where he's actually been able to go in and just replace Joachim Bolsen so that no one actually misses him. Kim Andersen has always been a great defender, but now he is a fantastic defender, I would say, because what has he been doing in all the time when he's been sidelined with his shoulder injury? He has been training physically, which means that he's now physically stronger than ever, and a really bad guy for any attacking player to run into in the central defense. The fact that he's also great in the counter-attack also means that also has added more rhythm and more visibility to Kolding's attacking plays, because they have an extra option in the counter attacks, and that has made them more dangerous in the attack, where they had some obvious problems last season. So if they can go on staying free of injury, we may see we may not have seen the last impressive performance by them.
Tom, how much credit would you give Kim Andersen for the success of Copenhagen, and or how much would you give credit to anyone else, to the entire team?
Yeah, I do. I think that Kasper Ehrman coming back in as well, Peter, has been sensational, and they don't look like they're missing Rokas on the right wing. Cleverly has been a very clever signing. Sorry for the pun. No, I'm not really sorry for the pun. I think that was brilliant, actually. Marcus Cleverly has been fantastic, because now if Kasper Witt is having any kind of an off game, Cleverly can come in that position, and the drop is almost non-existent. I mean, he's really a good goalkeeper. And then Peter would agree with this. Their philosophy has changed. Can you hear me, Pete? Can you hear me, Thomas?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
okay.
I'm listening.
You were making some funny faces there. I didn't know whether you were agreeing with me or you couldn't hear me. And then lastly, Peter, I think that there's been a huge change of philosophy in this team. Of course, last year in the Champions League, they were playing mostly with defenders and a double line, and so their counter-attacking play was almost non-existent. This year, it's like a completely new team. The way they're counter-attacking and the way there's pace in the game from Kolding is also a huge plus for them, and I think it's taking a lot of teams by surprise. Now, whether that lasts or not is another story. But Peter, I think that's one of the biggest things. Is the counter attack is unbelievable. We could have counted it on one hand how many times they did it last season, and now every available opportunity, they're gone.
I agree with that, but it is not only due to a change of philosophy, it's simply a change of resources. As I said before, they have more resources now. For instance, they don't have to make that double change between defense and attack that they had last season. Now they can stick to just substituting one player from defense to attack. That gives them more options in the counter attack. The fact that they almost did not practice counter-attacks last season was not because they didn't want to, but because they, for a great part, they were missing the resources to do that. They have that's a chance now, and that has added this extra dimension to their play, as I mentioned before.
Björn, Thomas mentioned that obviously the new Kolding strength might take teams by surprise, and one of the teams that was obviously taken by surprise quite a bit were the with the defending champions, Flensburg. Do you see that Flensburg might run into trouble, considering that they are only going to finish third potentially in the group, depending on the second half of this group phase?
Yeah, I was, as Tom also, I was in Flensburg, and of course we talked about this start in the season when they lost by 14 goals in Kolding, and they said this will never happen again. This was the worst match in the last years, and I think they know now that they cannot finish first in the group, and the only hope they have, or they started calculating already, is to beat Kolding on home ground, but definitely they will not manage to equalize the goal difference, and then they have to hope for a surprise win maybe in Barcelona, or that Kolding stumbles at some other places. So for them, I think they have their minds already set that they might finish on the third position in this group. And when you see that the teams have changed, the team has changed without Knudsen, and that they lost some other experienced player like Weinhold, and they have some injury problems like Gottfriedson is out, so they put Hampus Wanne or on the playmaker position on Saturday to test some more things. And for Lubomir Franis, I think in his opinion is okay. He said we want to go to the last 16 round, and regardless the position. Of course, they don't want to finish on fourth, and I think they should be strong enough to leave Wisla Plock behind, but they have to play there, so it can be another hard nut to crack. But in the end, I believe that Flensburg, it depends all on the match in Kolding at home. If they beat them, then the difference is 1 point, and they have to hope for another surprise of other teams. But they have no problems, I think, in finishing on the third position. And I was joking with them that in case they finish on third position, they just need to get the second-ranked team from the Kiel group to go to quarterfinals.
I think everybody's thinking that.
Tom, what's your assessment after 5 rounds, especially after you've seen them on the weekend of the defending champions of Flensburg?
I think that Bjorn's put it there. Knudsen's a huge loss. I said it in my blog. You sometimes don't realize how good a player is until he's gone, you know. And Knudsen obviously did a lot of dirty work. I mean that in the best possible sense, with Carlson in the middle, and Heinl was on. I mean, he managed to escape suspension in the game on Saturday night, but then it didn't seem to me to be there was any defending going on by either team. I mean, I don't know how many. What did we end up with? 70 goals in the game, or more? I can't even remember now.
I think it was 70 on the spot, wasn't it? 33.
It was almost.
Don't forget 14 saves of Šarić.
I know. I mean, it was almost like there was no defending in the game. So Heinl escaped, I think, any 2-minute suspensions. I may be wrong. I mean, I'm already in Kiel for next week. But Zachariasen is not at that level yet. And you saw that Jakobsen, who'd come down, and Peter knows him better because he came from Aalborg, he came down. He's not at the level of Glandorf. So you're not replacing like with like. Now, the thing about Ljubo Vranjes is, and all of his players said this to me, he works more on the psychological aspect of the game. In other words, telling his players that they are world beaters, that they're number one, that they're the best team there are. Now, he's only had a short amount of time to work with these two new guys. And so I don't think that we've seen the finished article at Flensburg just yet. And most importantly, Gottfriedson hasn't played at all this season for them and won't play until after December, they're saying now, and he was sensational for them last season. But I have to say, I thought Kaufmann did very well against Barcelona. Glandorf was brilliant until they played the 5+1. So I wouldn't be happy thinking that if I was second place in a group that I have to play Flensburg in the knockout phase, because I think with someone like Vranjes, you've got to give him time. And once he has that time, I think that he can really improve that team. So they're not there yet, Thomas, is the simple answer.
You just mentioned that you're like, you know, with your mindset already a bit at your next match of the week, next weekend in Kiel. What about Kiel? What about their performance so far? I think I've read today in Stefan Kretschmer's column on a German website that he said he compared the away victory in Paris actually with a away victory in terms of importance if they had won in Veszprém or in in Barcelona, and his argument was that this team has really put itself together now and really functions. You know, how do you see that?
Sorry, okay.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You have to just compare the two matches that THW Kiel had in the last week. They win at PSG, and 3 days before they were so lucky to beat the relegating team from the second division, Erlangen, by 1 goal, 23-22, but 14 goals of Juan Caneas, and the team was really weak and so lucky to win the point in the end. But this is when you just see the series of Kiel now in all competitions, so German League, German Cup, and Champions League. They have won the last 13 matches, and without players like Isha, without player like Palmason, and I think they fit better now. They had a weak start in the league, and they had this defeat at Zagreb. Nobody can understand how it happens. So, in my opinion, this match in Paris can be the turning point for the rest for their matches until Christmas. They're full of confidence now. They saw that they can win at Paris, even as Omayer was not there, but they saw that they have the power, and they beat Rhein-Neckar Löwen on their home ground in the German league some weeks before. So I don't expect that Kiel will lose any match anymore until the Christmas break.
Tom, I think you had to add something as well. Sorry.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, I've already sent my blog into you guys for this weekend. And far be it from me to say that I have the same opinion as Stefan Kretschmar, but I've exactly the same opinion as Stefan Kretschmar and Bjorn. Kiel has match changers and match winners, and when they came in, they were very individualistic, in my opinion, in terms of the way Gies Lassen wants the team to play. But I still remember when Buyin came in, he looked that way. He couldn't find his rhythm for the first 4 or 5 months. And these players, Duvniak, Canellas, very clever players, Weinhold the same, they just seem to fit into this Kiel system, and they're just slowly but surely finding their way. Now, looking back at the game, and I've watched it a few times from Paris, and I watched the last, when I got home on Sunday, my plane was delayed, and I got the last 20 minutes. Even though it looks like the score was close, I never felt in the last 15, 20 minutes that Kiel was in trouble at any time against Paris. They always looked to be in control. Now, there was a point where it was 1 goal, but even then you felt that Kiel, a player down, or even 2 players down, you felt that they could open up this Paris team whenever they felt like it. And they played a 3-2-1 defense at that level that was incredible to watch. Absolutely incredible to watch. The speed of these guys and everything else. If the Danish boy, whose name escapes me at the moment, the brother, Peter, help me out here. The Danish
Rasmus Lauge.
No, not Lauge. He did well in the first 15 minutes.
Toft.
Yeah, Toft.
Toft Hansen. Yeah.
Toft Hansen. If he starts to find his feet a little bit better on the line, that team could be absolutely brilliant.
We're just getting the call here. Yes.
It's Bjorn's wife calling him. Get off the telly, Bjorn.
I don't think that is my wife.
I believe you.
But it will be soon. It will be gone. I hope so.
I kind of like it's like.
Well, as soon as they hear you down.
Go ahead and buy some ice cream. That's what we should do now. That's what it sounds like.
This was a betting company which is supposed to be my sponsor now. Yes.
You should always have time to talk to your sponsors.
No sponsor talks during Hangouts. Come on, guys. After that.
There you go, Thomas. Exactly the same as Bjorn said, exactly the same as Kretschmar said. This team is just clicking into gear. And, all right, Bjorn is right. They lose against Erlangen. A week before that, or 2 weeks before that, they beat Rhein-Neckar Löwen away from home. I mean, they just have it in them to be able to be great.
Peter, are they? And I ask you because you weren't part of our last Champions League hangout where I asked all the guys to predict their Final Four participants. But would you, in the current form, would you put Kiel among them, and do they, again, given their current form, would actually have the chance to win it?
Absolutely, I'm really excited to see exactly how much this win in Paris will mean to the confidence in Kiel, because we have seen some lack of stability over the autumn season from the Bjorn just mentioned, the trouble with Erlangen in between two impressive wins in Mannheim against Rhein-Neckar Löwen and now in Paris against Paris Saint-Germain. So it will be interesting to see just how much this means to the mentality and to the self-confidence in Kiel, but because there's absolutely no doubt that without players such as Jicha in particular and also Palmerson, it's still a performance, quite an effort to win in Paris, even though you will never, at least not yet, hear me compare Paris to Barcelona, but it's still quite a performance, and of course there should be no doubt now that Kiel will win the group, and as a group winner you always have an edge when talking ahead about the Final Four. So definitely they can go that far, and being that far, well, of course, there's always also the chance to win the tournament.
Yeah, guys, we've talked a bit about clubs now, but who are the players that actually impressed you? Maybe Tom, if you want to throw out a few names here.
I will throw out a few names, but they're not going to be your household names. I think that Zarabets at Celje has really impressed me, the young centre player. Zelenovic, who has moved from Celje to Plock, has been outstanding for them at Plock. There's a boy up at Alingsås called Konradsen. Am I right, Konradsen?
Yes, Konradsen. Jesper Konradsen. The playmaker.
Yeah, he's been really good as well. Yeah. And then I'm going to go to Brest for my final two, Manojlovic and Stojkovic, who, by the way, I never understood why Kiel let him go. Even though they brought in a Ginagalde, I think Stojkovic is one of those players that you have to have on your team. And Manojlovic looks to be enjoying an Indian summer over there in Brest. He's playing in the centre, he's playing in the halfback. He's been absolutely outstanding. So those five players, because in the big clubs, it's nice to be, Palmerson, of course, has done well when he's played and everything else like that. But in the big clubs, sometimes it might be easier to do it. But these guys have been really outstanding for me in maybe the not so glamorous teams.
Peter, which names would you single out?
Well, like Tom said, it's always easy to pick the big names from the big clubs, and I think we can all agree that, for instance, Karabatic has been fantastic in Barcelona. But I would also like to turn to some maybe not as players who we may not be or who may not be drawing the attention every day. I would mention a player such as Lukas Karlsson from KF Kolding København. I think it's amazing what that little man is capable of doing when it comes to shooting goals. He makes the most fantastic goals with underarm shots, running shots, or standing shots, or even jump shots. It's amazing that man can get the ball over those tall defenders in almost every team. I think that's just amazing to see what he can do, apart from being a great organizer of the attacking play in the team also. Another player I would also like to mention is another Scandinavian. That's the young Norwegian Sander Sargussen by Aalborg. He's a guy to watch out for. He's only 19 years old and already playing the playmaker position almost like a veteran. And apart from that, he has a great and very, very a varied repertoire of shots also, so he's definitely a guy we're going to hear and see something about in the future, and I'm quite certain that within 2 or 3 years we'll see him as an established regular key player in one of the top teams in Europe.
Bjorn, who's your rookie or your rookies? Who are your rookies of rounds 1 to 5?
Unfortunately, most of them were already named. Of course, the playmaker of Celje did a great job in the previous matches. But you also, I would not name a rookie, but I would name Roland Mikla for West Brom. When you saw the West Brom, they had Alilovic, and Alilovic became more stable in the last 2-3 years. But together with Mikla, they're a goalkeeper couple who's absolutely decisive, and you can't compare this couple now like you had last season with Sterbik and Čarić in Barcelona, because Ortega knows that he can bring in when one is down, he brings the other in, and he's definitely up. So this can be, as we all say, the goalkeepers are a very crucial part to go to Cologne and to win in Cologne. This can be a very important factor for West Brom, how they did a real good job in the first 5 matches. And of course, when you see just the balance of conceded goals, it says that the goalkeeper and the defense is good. So especially Mikla, I would name. And yes, I'm impressed also by Nikola Manojlovic. When you see at Rhein-Neckar Löwen, he only played defense, and I think he restarted his handball now, as he's also allowed to play in attack, or is playing in attack when he scores. See how many goals he scores. And it's the same for Sojkovic with Kielce, and this is for Manojlovic with Löwen. I cannot understand why they let him go, but when you see the Löwen results now, they have the opportunity to have West Brom and Werder at home. So maybe they can change some things, but the defense is not that stable as it was together with Manojlovic.
Thomas, I don't like, that was a bit sneaky the way you threw that in there. You never even told us you were going to ask us for names of players. Well, I think we handled that very well, boys. We handled that really well. By the way, just Thomas, on the issue of
I know I can throw in, like random questions every now and then. I know you'll just answer them with ease.
Yeah, please. But on the issue of Mikler there, I'm actually disgusted I didn't mention him because, as always, Bjorn's encyclopedic knowledge of handball is exceptional. And in the game against Werder in the Janez Sandanski, by the way, it's almost impossible to win there. It is the atmosphere there is so incredible in that new arena. And he saved the penalty with, I think they were a goal down, would have been 2.
1 minute to go.
Yeah, 1 minute to go. Saved the penalty, and it was an amazing penalty save. I mean, it wasn't just like the ball hit him. The guy saved it. And not only did he save it, I don't know how he did this, he knocks it off his own bar, up in the air so that he can get it. I mean, the guy's a genius at the moment. But as Casper Fitz said in an interview to me, he will be seeing how good Mikler will be if he can keep this level up for years and years and years. At the moment, he's having a real purple patch, as we say. He's playing really well. So, good choice, Bjorn.
Thanks.
And, by the way, Peter as well on Lucas Carlson. I wish I'd said him too. Damn!
I think for the hangout after round 10 or so, we're going to ask each of you to come up with your squad of newcomers.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Put that on the list.
So we can prepare 3 months.
There's no fight between. I wish I had named him. Yeah. Well, anyway, there obviously have been a lot of positive developments, but I also want to touch on the development in Metalurg, because obviously that was pretty big news over the past 10 days, and I mean, maybe just for you guys to comment on, but obviously there's quite a few players have left Metalurg. I think you've all read the news about this big friction between the players and the coach Lino Cerva. How well, Tom and Bjorn, I know that obviously you're quite close to say a bit about Metalurg. How do you judge the situation, and how do you think they'll go on from here?
I think, as you saw, they had a kind of player strike for one match of the ZEA League against Zagreb, I think 1.5 weeks ago, and they're playing in the Champions League. But when you see that a lot of players turned their back now to Cerva, and I also heard that it's a matter of the financial situation. This was one statement that Darko Stanic had given when he went to Germany, to Bietigheim, that he wanted to be sure that he gets every first of the month he gets his money, and he was not sure that he get this in Metalurg. And also the players say that Cerva is putting in the wrong players, and you see it's the power of players. 10-15 years ago it would not have happened. The players have more power now, but I think Metalurg definitely after this season they have to make a cut, or they will make a cut, maybe a cut until the end. We have to see what happens in Skopje. So I don't think they will finish their season. They try to finish it on the international level, but I think that the club will already react now. And as you know, what hero is Lino Cerva in Macedonia, then you cannot expect that the club will decide against the coach. So we will see what team Metalurg will bring in the next months.
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Thomas, that you have to understand that I hear a lot of things because I talk to people and I'm at the games and so on and so forth. So on this particular matter, if it's okay, I did hear a lot of things about what was going on, and I have been in touch with the club. So some of the stuff was told to me in confidence, and so I'd rather not go into it now. All I will say is that it's a terrible pity, because they've been such a wonderful club in the Champions League, and it's very sad to see them with no wins from their first 5 games in the Champions League. And it's also sad to see that there's friction between the players and the coach when they worked so hard to get to where they were.
Okay, guys. Well,
where's the question of the Brazilian guy today?
The question. Well, I didn't get. This. What time is it in Brazil now? Well, it's maybe it's 3 hours.
The same as always. The hangout is always at the same time.
5 to, we swapped from 6 to 5 o'clock. So
probably not.
We'll go back to 6 so that we can get him in. Well, it obviously. Well, first of all, Tom and Björn, I'm just going to read out your predictions, because obviously you were told that we're going to, talk all over again what you predicted last time. Tom, you said Paris, Kiel, West Brom, and Barcelona in the Final Four, with Kiel to win. Do you want to change anything to the?
Now, I just want to say, by the way, that I based this on at the time on the transfers that came in.
That is true. That is actually on my list here. Where it says based on transfers.
Yeah, based on transfers. Yeah. And to be honest, I haven't changed my mind, but I will put in a caveat. It's difficult to judge Kielce at the moment because the group they're in, they're hammering everybody. Although Aalborg did very well too. I think, did they win 27-25? And
yes, correct.
It was a close game. So maybe they're not over. They're not absolutely at their peak. And of course, the Polish league, as we all know, is not great. I think they went to Plock and absolutely hammered them. But who knows? But I'll stay with those 4 teams. The only one that I might have an issue with is Paris Saint-Germain. But from what I've seen so far of West Brom, Kiel, and Barcelona, I will still keep the 3 of them as definite 3 in the Final Four, and then a tiny question mark beside Paris.
Björn, your teams were Kielce, West Brom, Kiel, and Barcelona, with Barcelona to win eventually. Any changes?
No changes.
No changes. Well, I guess obviously we can't predict, we can't have you predicting Final Four participants at each hangout. But given the current situation in the 4 groups, we thought it might be apt asking you for a bit of a different question. Who comes 4th in each group? Because obviously, it's pretty clear so far who will come 1st and 2nd. But 4th is an embattled spot in almost every group. So do you want to go for all 4, or do you want to divide them up? So let's see here. We got. I'll ask Björn for Group A.
Well, I just make my decision for all 4 groups if it's possible.
Yeah, you can make your decisions for all 4 groups. That's makes
okay. Group A Northwest.
Each and every one of you. Sorry.
Group B is Plock. Group C is Montpellier, and Group D, rather Kadetten than Motor Zaporozhye.
Okay. So you'd say Group A was?
Brest.
Brest, okay. Brest, Plock, Montpellier,
and Kadetten.
Okay. So basically the current tables stay as they are.
if you say it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Peter, what are your choices for fourth place and the last 4 teams to go to the last 16?
That's the disadvantage of not being first, because now I'm going to sound like an echo of Bjorn. At least I'm only absolutely sure about Group B. That's the easiest one, and I was hoping that if we got a Group H, that I would get Group B, because it's so easy to say Plots will be fourth, and they will. Regarding the rest, yes, I also agree with Bjorn. Maybe a little doubt in Group D, where everything may be quite close between the 3 teams competing for fourth position. We may still hope for Dunkirk that they may improve a little. As it has been said, they have been a disappointment once again, and they should be able to do better than they have as French champions. But based on what we have seen so far, I would say that Cadetten is still a good bit for that fourth position.
Bye, Tom. You.
Okay, I agree.
Word out there for your favorite zappers or so, maybe, or you.
By the way, I think that I should be paid every time you guys write zappers, including Peter Brune now writes zappers. I can't believe it. It's become their name. It just no one can spell Zaporozhye. That's the problem. All right, Group B is for sure is Plotsk. Okay. Yeah. Now Group D. Nobody has mentioned the fact that Dunkirk still has 3 home games. I had a feeling you'd do this, Peter or Thomas, so I actually did a little thing, right? Dunkirk has 3 home games left against Szeged, Zappers, and Schaffhausen. I think that they need 2 wins from those 3 games to come in 4th position. So I think in the last game of the season, 21st of February, Dunkirk, Schaffhausen will determine who comes 3rd in that group.
4th.
Fourth, you mean?
Fourth. Sorry, 4th. Yeah, sorry. Did I say 3rd? I meant 4th. Aalborg will come 3rd. Which means the Zappers, God help them, have no chance. Well, they're not enjoying home away from home, are they? So I think that they can be discounted. Now, in Group A, Brest, strangely, has only 1 home match left. And they have not been fantastic away from home. I don't know whether you just don't travel well if you're on a Belarusian team or what it is. So now here's where all my expertise comes in. HC, Pervo, Plenarsko, Društvo, Zagreb.
Yeah.
Well
read. Yeah, good.
Why could they not just call them Ozagoranje again? I learned that, you know. This new name is a disaster. I think that they might have a chance. It's a chance, but I think it's a big chance that Zagreb could come 4th and knock Brest out, even though I've been impressed by Brest. You know, because they're not going to win away from home against Paris Saint-Germain, and they're not going to win away from home against Kiel. So I'm going to say Zagreb to come 4th in Group A. And then in Group C, unfortunately, now let me just see. What did I say here? Tchaikovsky could have a big say home to Montpellier. If Montpellier get a result in Tchaikovsky-Medieri, and remember what happened, they don't like each other, do they? They don't play well, Montpellier, when they have Tchaikovsky. Did they miss out in
2010?
Thank you very much. Saved by Grams, wasn't it? Knocked them out. So they always said they're a bit of their bogey team. So here's what I'm going to say. If Montpellier don't get a result against Tchaikovsky, in other words, a point or 2 points, Celje will be 4th. But if they do, Montpellier will be 4th. What did I actually say there again? I can't remember. Dunkirk.
Neither can we.
Yeah. Dunkirk, Schaffhausen will determine. Dunkirk, Schaffhausen will determine 4th. Plots to come 4th.
Yeah.
Next, Zagreb to come 4th, and I think the Montpellier Tchaikovsky away from home is the key match in that group to see who come 4th. Celje could then make it if they don't get a result, Montpellier.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for that. Well, it's going to be another 5 rounds until we know whether your predictions have come true or not. But before that, I'm each other here on these Hangouts. Thanks for joining tonight. Thank you very much for all your expertise, and looking forward to seeing you again next time. Have a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
See you, Bjorn. See you, Peter.
Oui.